Lights, camera, and action.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast.
Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
And now we are going to take a look at our second movie, Death Wish 2. Now, we saw Death Wish. I can't remember. What did you say? How did you rate Death Wish?
I think I rated it like a rent it, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a rent it.
It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I remember liking it, and there were some things where I was like, I think this is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a disgruntled man running around shooting everybody with one hand. Just all of a sudden, he goes from being kind of anti-gun to I'm just going to blow everybody's brains out. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So,
like his neighbor was like Charlton Heston, and he joined the NRA. And
yes. And he started screaming about his Second Amendment rights from the rooftops.
yeah. All right. Well, okay. Again, I said that it looked like we might have made a mistake on these two movies, and it wasn't just DC Cab that I was looking at. That looked like it might be a mistake. This movie looks, well, let's take a look at it. Let's start with the box office.
Yes, let's.
With a budget of $8 million, this there's a little confusion online. Some say it made 16 million. Some say it actually made 29 million. Either way, again, with marketing in 82, this movie made money.
Yeah.
And yeah, so of note, it opened in limited release. By its third week, it had reached number 3 in only having 377 theaters. In fact, it had the lowest theater count of all the top 10 films, and it remained in theaters for 45 weeks.
Okay.
So, again, this drive-in, one of the movies didn't make a ton of money, but they did okay. Tale of the Tape. Released on February 19th, 1987. It is an action crime... 87? No. 1982. No. I did this last week, too. It's 1982. It is rated R and comes in at an hour and 33 minutes.
Okay, good time. Good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he starts vigilantism pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taglines. First his wife, now his daughter. It's time to even the score.
Okay, not bad. That's actually a pretty good tagline.
He wants the filth off the streets. If the police can't do it, he will. His way.
Too many words.
He's planning to clean up the city his way.
Much better.
He's a one-man judge, jury, and executioner.
Perfect.
He has decided to clean up the city his way.
That's just different punctuation.
Yep. Bronson's loose again in Death Wish 2.
No.
When murder and rape invade your home and the cops can't stop it, this man will. His way.
That's the shittiest tagline ever.
Synopsis. Oops. Relocating to Los Angeles from New York City, vigilante Paul Kersey, Charles Bronson, wants to start a safer life for himself and his adult daughter, Carol, played by Robin Sherwood, who was raped years earlier and still suffers psychologically from the attack. But trouble finds Kersey. His house cleaner, Rosario, played by Silvana Gallardo, and Carol are both gang raped. She gets raped again in Kersey's home by a gang of thugs, and Rosario dies. Oh. Kersey hits the streets hunting down the criminals, refusing to stop until L.A. is safe. Oh, good luck, Kersey. Fucking L.A. All right. And here is the poster. I did not like this poster at all.
No, this is terrible.
It says up top, Bronson's loose again in Death Wish 2. When murder and rape invade your home and the cops can't stop it, this man will his way. They took all the crappiest things we saw and said and put it right on this poster. And it's a picture of him. Now, here's a couple international ones. The one on the left here, he's planning to clean up the city his way, and he's rolling it like plans because he was an architect.
Yeah.
And it's just a city of LA with a gun on it and the lights coming out of the plans. That's a little better.
I like that one better.
And the other one is just a kind of a drawn picture of him, and it looks awkward with the window smashing and the guys attacking, and it's obviously, I'm guessing Spanish.
No, that's Italian.
That's Italian. Oh, della notte numero two. I don't know Italian. Not even close.
I'm going to look up that word. I want to know what they call him.
It's numero two.
Yes, we get that, but it's the something of the night.
While you're looking that up, I just wanted to go over quickly. Okay, so Brian Garfield, the author of the original Death Wish novel, was so unhappy with the film version that he wrote his own sequel, Death Sentence. Great movie with Kevin Bacon. I'm pretty sure he's pissed off at that one too. They made a hero out of him, Garfield said. I thought I'd shown that he'd become a very sick man. The idea to produce a sequel to Death Wish originated with producers Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus, owners of Canon Films. They reportedly announced their plans to do so prior to actually securing the rights to the franchise. Dino De Laurentiis, co-producer of the original film, threatened them with a lawsuit. Now, in 1980, Canon briefly hired Garfield to write an adaptation of sequel to Death Wish of Death Sentence. However, Golan and Globus did not want to use Garfield's book, preferring the original story by David Engelbeck. After they purchased the rights to the first film from De Laurentiis, they purchased the rights to the characters of the novels from Garfield, meaning they could make a sequel without adapting the original novels. Also, Bronson was offered $1.5 million to reprise the role. Jill Ireland was cast in the film because Bronson, her husband, insisted on it. He did that for a lot of movies. That's, I think, how she got work. He just said she's going to be which was kind of cool because he made all his love interests his wife.
No, that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's also just a classic story of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's just nepotism.
And if we remember from the first movie, he didn't want her to be in that movie because he didn't want his wife being smacked around and humiliated.
Also, I have the translation. It's the phrase translates to the vigilante of the night, number 2.
Okay. All right.
So that word giustiziere means vigilante.
Oh, there we go. And now you know. Oh, I should have that NBC thing on here.
You should.
Yeah, I should have that. That's silly. I'm going to put that on here.
Is that copyrighted? Like, are we going to be able to use that?
That one I think is okay. I know we can't play music anymore because YouTube just nabs us every time, which is too bad. All right, let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. Here we go. 36. Oh, this isn't right. Oh, right.
I was going to say, that seems a little high.
Yeah, it seems a little high for Death Wish 2. 70 some odd %. All right, here we go. This is better. All right. 18 critics reviews this movie comes in at 33%.
Oof.
Better than DC Cab.
True.
5,000 audience reviews comes in at 44%. Not as good as DC Cab.
No.
All right, well, let's start with the fresh, and you may start.
Once you appreciate how comically lurid Death Wish 2 is, you can relax and enjoy it for what it is. It's a Marvel comic with someone to turn the pages for you. Bruce McCabe, Boston Globe.
A strong, visceral experience that is not always comfortable to watch, but pleasing to watch as the bad guys get what's coming to them. Kevin Carr, 7mm Pictures, 5 out of 3. 3 out of 5 out of 3. 3 out of 5.
I didn't even realize you had said 5.
Excuse my dyslexia.
Classic. Cole Smithy. ColeSmithy.com, 3 out of 5.
This is a paid reviewer. Our reviews aren't even on here. This guy just writes
know.
classic. An unnecessary sequel, the first of too many. Steve Crum, Kansas City, Kansan, 3 out of 5. That's a good review.
That is actually a good review.
All right, Rotten. People that did not like this movie really did not like this movie.
The language is filthy, the film is simple-minded, and Bronson's character is as despicable as those he murders. TV Guide, 0 out of 4. Those zeros always hit different.
Yeah. Even more foolish, more tacky, and more self-righteously inhumane than the 1974 melodrama of which it has been spun by the none too nimble fingers of Michael Winner. Vincent Canby, New York Times, 1 out of 5.
That was harsh. All the blood and none of the brain. Scott Weinberg, efilmcritic.com, 2 out of 5.
The results are every bit as revolting as in the original 1974 jackpot fantasy. Variety staff, Variety.
Wow. While the first film convinced me of Bronson's need for vengeance, this one is just a series of dumb killings. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, 0 out of 4.
I don't think I've ever seen Roger Ebert
No,
give a
he's
0 out of
never
4
given
before.
a 0 out of 4. Or at least for the movies we've watched. We'll
Yeah.
find out.
IMDb, 18,000 user ratings, comes in at 6 out of 10. So a little better.
Oh, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
A terrific, rip-roaring, all guns blazing sequel. 10 out of 10, green 515.
That's what my grandpa would say. Despite being hard to watch at times, my personal favorite of the series. 9 out of 10, B-Kite.
Interesting. May cause a desire to take a shower, and that's the point. 8 out of 10, Brant Sponseller.
Starting to wonder about this movie.
Yeah.
Death Wish 2 is a gut-wrenching, stomach-turning, yet immorally thrilling sequel. I think they meant morally, because immorally is...
No, immorally means there are no morals. Which
no morally and thrilling? Okay,
I'm
yeah.
getting the feel that they're not really sensitive to people in this movie.
Yeah, 7 out of 10, part-time critic.
Who's the man? Charlie Bronson's demand. 6 out of 10, D-Day 65.
Where the series dipped, 5 out of 10, P. James 10.
Scuttling around in the darkest corners of my brain like a diseased rodent. It's Death Wish 2. 4 out of 10, DJ Jimmy Vespa.
If Death Wish leaned towards advocating vigilantism, Death Wish 2 dives headfirst and drowns in it. 3 out of 10. Ionic Breeze Machine?
Yeah. Brain dead sequel that insults its predecessor. 2 out of 10, Coffee in the Clink.
All right, we'll take turns because, there's a few of these ones. There was a lot of ones. A disgusting piece of garbage. Preppy 3.
Nihilistic garbage. McFrog.
Why, oh why? John Felon 911.
Wish I never saw this. Smart GGGG.
Does anyone care about women? Caterwalls.
Music ruins this one. Thomas Cole.
Out of all the ones being garbage, nihilistic, does anyone care about women? And then this guy, the music kind of sucked in this movie. Ruined the whole thing for me.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah. All right. Well, we took a look at everything from different posters, and we even took a look at some Italian and box office. Let's take a look at the trailer and then make our predictions. Shout Factory is awesome.
It happened once before.
Some muggers followed my wife and daughter home from the market.
It's about to happen again.
The police there got a very good description of the muggers, too. But it didn't do any good.
We do what we can. And so does he.
Is this your daughter, Mr. Kersey? Mr. Kersey, is that Carol?
When murder and rape are the crimes, Bronson is the only punishment. Charles Bronson, Death Wish 2.
There's something else you should know, sir. Paul Kersey now lives in Los Angeles. Oh, my God.
Now you tell me there's a vigilante out there. You believe in Jesus? Yes, I do. Well, you're going to meet him.
He killed 9 people in New York City 4 years ago. The people he killed were muggers. He became a hero. What did he look like?
He was a very good citizen, that's what he was. That guy saved our lives, damn it. Where the hell were you guys, giving out parking tickets?
When violence rules the city, when the police can't stop it, one man will, his way.
Watch out!
Charles Bronson,
Goodbye.
Death Wish 2. He's doing it for you.
Awesome.
Death Wish 2, he's doing it for you. That's a fucking tagline.
Yeah. And they got that part right. They ruined their poster though.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
I think I'm going to have a love-hate relationship with this. Because as I felt with Death Wish, I'm all in for vigilante movies, and I love ridiculous violence that don't make no sense. I love it. However, from the reviews, I'm a little concerned about how they treat the gang raping of his daughter, who's already been super traumatized in the first movie.
Yeah.
So why do we have to re-traumatize her? I already have an issue with that. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an issue that really pops up while I watch this movie. So I have a feeling I'm going to have a love-hate relationship with it.
You could have had a neighbor that you're really friendly with and their daughter or the wife or
Like somebody else. Like leave the daughter
poor
alone.
daughter.
Let her live in New
Right.
England in a cute little seaside cottage. Like why you gotta redo this?
Yeah, she just left her in that institution.
Yeah.
This looks like complete exploitive. Well, it's not. It's like Grindhouse. It looks very. I noticed Lawrence Fishburne there.
Yes. He is in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I have not. I'm pretty sure unless I watch it and realize I remember it, but there's nothing here that says I've seen this. I've seen 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I know I have multiple times. Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just see how. Like it could be garbage. Like it could be like, but it could be like that Grindhouse. But it could still be a lot of fun. Looks like he carries around like the same weapon and.
Yeah, he's still doing the one-handed shooting and the bullets that defy physics because they never actually hit him. Like I'm cool with it. That part. I want to see how they handle the incident that spurs him on.
Yeah.
Into his vigilantism in LA. And I want to see how I have a feeling I'm going to hate it. I already hate it on principle that they're doing this to the daughter again. I'm like, let her live. Let her have her life. You want to give him a new girlfriend who gets like attacked, but why does it always have to be rape? Can't you just be mugged and beaten? Still traumatizing, still terrible.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be rape? Like, why you got to go so intense?
Well, just for those listening, I have not seen this in a long time. Number 3 drops the rape, and it's more of a gang terrorizing the Bronx or something like that.
Okay.
And his old Vietnam buddy, and they decide to like go PTSD and have a
PTSD
and just start shooting everyone with their AK-47, whatever the fuck they used in Vietnam. But yeah, well, I don't know. Well, let's see. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how this all plays out because everything else looks fine.
Yeah,
like, it looks like it has every cliche, every crappy action,
over the top vigilantism, never ending ammunition.
Yeah,
running around but not really hiding it, but kind of hiding it. Like I'm down for all of that.
Yeah. The bad language, like the language that was written by the white man and how the black man would sound to the white man, which is fantastic. I'm sure that's all going to be in there.
Oh, 100%.
right.
100%.
Well, we are going to go watch Death Wish 2. Yeah, and then when we come back, we are going to review it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And now, on with the show.
You're muted, my friend.
Damn it. Did you watch Death Wish 2?
I did.
What's your initial thoughts?
The violence was nice. Like the shooting and the running and the beating, cool. I don't like the violence against the women in the beginning. I don't need to see that much. We don't need that much. Also, Charles Bronson, I know you're supposed to be a stone cold hard killer, but why are you showing zero emotion? Did not sell his, because at least in the first one he had some like a little bit of like facial expression that showed his anger and his disbelief and his trauma, and then it led to him going on a killing spree. In this one, he's just like, okay, go shoot people now. And I was like, what? What? This is not okay. And also the detective from New York.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So I have mixed feelings about this one. A lot of mostly not good feelings, but there are some mixed feelings. What about you?
Death Wish was way better.
Yeah.
I think I like 3 better. This wasn't bad. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get into it as much. It didn't have that 70s New York feel. I know it's 1982 in this movie, but it was kind of in LA, and it was trying to be like the first one, but trying to really distinguish itself. It failed. It wasn't like horrible. The only way I could describe it is like halfway through this movie, I was like, why am I watching this when I can watch Death Wish 1?
I mean, same.
Yeah.
At least it all felt really weird because like
yeah,
the first Death Wish, something happens, he gets spurned into action. And then you see the action, which is ridiculous, yes, but it's entertaining.
Oh yeah.
This one, something happens and there is no spurning into action. It's just, okay, cool. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
what? Yeah.
Because like I wasn't even born. You weren't even born when Death Wish came out. But it had better nostalgia, it had better dialogue, it had better stereotypes, better
stereotypes,
better use of the news and the public perception. This movie wasn't a comment on street crime or big city chaos or the continuing moral degradation of society that Death Wish truly wanted to portray or present. Death Wish 2 was a straight up revenge flick, I think.
It was definitely revenge and not necessarily vigilantism.
Yeah.
Because he very much went just after the guys who killed his housekeeper and eventually his daughter, who raped and killed his, and that really, I'm like, why you got to bring the daughter into this?
Yeah.
Why you got to?
Like, what the fuck?
The poor girl barely barely spoken for the last 2 years. I also want to know where her husband went. Like, was there a divorce? Did they get annulled? Like, what happened? He was gone. She's still in an institution. Like, she's still a patient.
Yep.
And you're going to do her like that?
Yeah.
That's dirty. I don't like that.
I like some of the things the movie did, but like the use of the detective in New York going to LA, that was ridiculous.
That was fuck? And he still has the same allergies.
And he had the same fucking suit from 8 years ago.
So,
Excuse me.
don't get me wrong. Like, I understand why, in theory,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, that could have been a great plot, but he's sniffling, he's sneezing, he's coughing, and he's got those fucking opera binoculars. And I'm just like, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah.
I can't take you
Apparently,
seriously.
I don't think I put it in the actual trivia. Because he had a cold in Death Wish 1. He
Yeah.
actually, when he got out to LA, he caught another cold. So the sniffling wasn't on purpose in the first Death Wish, and it wasn't on purpose for the second Death Wish.
That just made me love him
Yeah.
because
Drink
I
some
thought it was one
orange
of those
juice, dude.
weird actor choices, but I'm like, dude,
No,
are you telling me there was no cold medicine in like
he just
1981 when you filmed
got
this?
sick.
He just kept getting sick. It's amazing.
All right, let's go over this movie. And also, first, I am a giant fan of Led Zeppelin. I owned all the CDs, tracked a few records, and Jimmy Page did the soundtrack for this movie.
Yeah.
We'll get to why in the trivia, but while it was cool in parts, but for the most part, it seemed out of place, or it seemed too much.
Yeah. I wasn't crazy about it.
No, I missed the orchestra with the groovy
Yeah.
70s soundtrack. This was all electric guitar. If it was used like Jaws, like when Paul Kersey was stalking bad guys, that would have been cool. But it was used for almost everything. There was some orchestra in there, but mostly Jimmy Page's electric guitar. Whatever.
Which, I mean, Jimmy Page, yay, but
Yeah, but too much.
it
All
just
right.
didn't feel right.
So, roughly 8 years since the events of the first film, Paul Kersey has managed to recover from his shattered life and moved on and is now living in Los Angeles and working as a freelance architect. So, still an architect, still an NRA member, I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, he hides his gun, so.
Oh, maybe not an NRA card carrier member, no.
Yeah.
One of his clients is a close friend who owns a radio station for whom he is designing a new building, and he is dating one of its reporters, Jerry Nichols. Okay, I don't want to speak ill will of the dead, but I'm starting to think that Jill Ireland wasn't that great of an actor. Just saying.
What makes you say that?
I don't know. Maybe her husband forced
Gets her
production
every
companies.
job.
Yeah, gets her every job. They go to pick up Paul's daughter, Carol, from the mental hospital. We need more of these mental hospitals.
They are so pretty.
I was downtown where I live here. These people should be locked up. A lot of these people should. I was in Walmart, and a lot of those people should be locked up.
I mean, but that's Walmart. That's just Walmart everywhere, no matter where you go. If there's
I
a Walmart.
usually order my stuff from different places. I don't like going grocery shopping, and I went grocery shopping on my own or whatever, and having to be amongst those people, I was so fucking angry. I'm like, why am I with you? You people are insane and gross and ugh.
I feel that way about most people. Like during the pandemic, I was happier than a pig in shit.
Yeah, just being at home.
Yeah, and nobody expected me to go out. Nobody asked me to go anywhere, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's order everything to the house."
They spend the afternoon at a fairground where Paul's wallet is stolen by a gang consisting of Nirvana, Punk Cut, Stomper, Cutter, and Jiver. I do like the names. This was, of course, written by a hyper 10-year-old boy in grade 5 with an overactive imagination. No, this was written by a guy who had a hyper 10-year-old boy in grade 5 with an overactive imagination and just asked the kids, what would you call these people? And he came up with Punk Cut, Cutter, Jiver. The gang splits up when Paul chases them. He pursues Jiver, whom he corners in an alley. When Jiver says that he does not have the wallet, Paul lets him go. The gang find Paul home, a dress in his wallet, and breaks into the house. They restrain Rosario, Paul's housekeeper, and begin taking turns raping her. For those listening, it is a very uncomfortable scene. A little more than the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very long.
Yeah, and it is
intercut
long.
with other scenes, but it seems to go on for a very long time.
Yeah. It's weird saying it's not the worst I've seen. Like over the years, it's gotten way worse. But still, if you're like gonna watch it, it's still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable, and it's very, I could see people being either re-traumatized by it or just like not want, like I was super uncomfortable during that part.
Yeah.
Super uncomfortable.
And as in all, they're supposed to be uncomfortable. They're supposed to make you feel sick and rage. It is a plot device meant not only to move the story, but stir a wide range of emotions and feelings and stress into the audience. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It
But there
always
are
works. Like it
yeah.
always makes people uncomfortable, but sometimes it's too much.
Yeah, there's a way to film an attack scene
Yeah.
that is not so graphic and not so explicit. There's a way to do it.
Yep.
And the methods were there in the 80s. So
Yeah.
it's a little frustrating to see this because you're like, you're rage baiting, but you're doing it with women and their bodies. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, there's a way to get the rage from your audience without exploiting these women.
Yeah.
It's possible.
And I don't think directors, they don't set out to like make this like a high point or go, hey, look how cool this is. But they do it either to evoke emotions, or they're doing it as shock. That it's such a horrendous act, and for that fact, the movie does work. I mean, you don't just dislike these guys; you absolutely hate. Like they are horrendous people. That part gets by. But yeah, because there are way easier ways to get the audience to dislike a character. He wanted you to despise them to the point where you're cheering for a hero and killing them, which by definition should be considered wrong. But I love heroes killing people.
I'm kind of okay with a lot of vigilantism.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Vigilantism's cool. Come on, let's be honest.
I mean, am I going to go out there randomly killing people? I will never admit to that.
Not until I get my gun. But yes, poor Rosario. When Paul arrives home with his daughter, he is beaten unconscious. Rosario tries to call the police, but Nirvana kills her with the crowbar. They kidnap Carol and take her to their hideout where a gang member rapes her. This poor chick, Jesus Christ. I'm sitting there going, for fuck. Different actors, but it's the same character. Like, hasn't this woman suffered enough? Like, what?
Honestly, I would have much preferred it if they just killed her. The apartment.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in the trivia too. Yeah, because she's just started, like, she's smiling, she's asking for food.
Yeah, she's just started speaking a little more regularly.
Yeah.
She's got day trips out of the treatment center. Like, she's finally starting to kind of open up a little bit.
Yeah.
Come closer to normalcy, and then this happens.
Yeah.
And that it made me so angry. I'm like, you didn't have to do that to her.
No.
You didn't have, and I think I would have been, this is so weird to say, but I think I would have been more okay.
Yes, if they didn't rape her. Yeah.
If they didn't, well, no, they didn't need to. They could have just killed her. And they could have done it off scene. Like, it didn't have to be super graphic, but especially if you watch the first movie and then you watch the second, you're just like, God, you don't have to.
No.
But I think if Paul Kersey had more rage, then the violence that's shown to us would have seemed more justified.
Yeah.
Like, he reacts to Rosaria's death and Carol's death and their rapes like someone just told him, you're out of milk.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'll hit the store. Like, it was so jarring. And I think that's why I really hated that violence towards both of them. Because I'm like, the actions are justified. Like, the vengeance is justified.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like
it was earned.
It was earned. You know? It was super.
Because in the first one, there wasn't like a ton, but it was there. Like, he was mad.
Struggles.
Yeah.
He struggles because he's like, the cops are supposed to be keeping us safe and they can't find these guys. And, you know, it gets to a point where he's like, well, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
This one, you don't see any, like, it's nothing. No. Nothing in his eyes either. Give me some eye acting, something. But anyways.
He might have been just doing this one for the money.
God,
Carol attempts to escape by running through a plate glass window and falls onto an iron fence and dies. Paul later refuses to help the police identify the muggers. Yeah, don't worry, dear listener. He doesn't have Alzheimer's. He's got a plan.
Yes, he does have a plan.
Vengeance. I should have did the trailer for this one. And again, yeah, what a ship character arc for this character. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. After Carol's funeral, he takes his handgun to a low-rent inner-city hotel as a base of operations. Not before going to the cab for the weekend and chop some wood. We do get
Yeah.
that. That's your
Yeah, he waited for the funeral, then he went to the cabin,
yeah.
chopped a lot of wood. Apparently, that's where he made the decision to go back to his vigilante ways.
Yeah, chop some wood, and that was enough grieving.
That was it. That was all it took.
Although, to be fair, he didn't mourn a whole lot when his wife died.
But he struggled.
He did struggle, but
There was
Paul
a struggle.
he's all business.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But I'm like, give me some struggle, because your daughter, who's been through the ringer so many fucking times,
Yeah.
now she's dead. Give me a little something. Give me a tear.
No, you don't
One
want to
tear
cry over
at her
spilled
funeral.
milk. Yeah,
No,
not even a tear.
Not even a tear at the funeral. He didn't even really look sad at the funeral. He was just like the girlfriend Jerry is all like, "Do you want to? No, I'm cool, thanks."
Yeah, I gotta get
That's
to
it.
some killing. Yeah, because this is like I think this is what they meant by the good old days. They don't make them like that. They used to, and it was better when I was a kid, because back in the day, it seemed to be pretty easy to be a vigilante.
Apparently,
Not
Well,
just a
there was also-
vigilante, serial killer, bank robber. Nowadays, forget about it.
That's because
Inter-
everything's digital now.
Internet
and there's CCTV
cameras
everywhere.
Yeah, facial recognition. It's just one
It's
giant
so much
headache.
harder to hide now. I mean, back then you could just be like, "Here's my social security or my SIN," which was just a piece of paper.
Yeah. Can't even clean up your own streets like our forefathers fought for. We didn't beat the Nazis to become woke. We beat the Nazis to roam the streets and deliver homemade justice. That's what I'm just saying. I forgot what I was talking about. Where were we?
I feel like you lost the point of World War II.
Yeah.
FYI.
Has LA always looked like a shithole in the 80s? Or was this Hollywood? Like Hollywood's, let's make it look really bad.
No, there are certain parts of LA that really, really, really look like a shithole.
Yeah.
And like
I'm
there's
sure
a
they're
reason-
beautiful parts.
There's a
back
reason
then.
why there's
Yeah.
a part of LA that's literally called Skid Row. And
Yeah.
still to this day
Yeah.
is not the prettiest. Although you go like a block north and you're into like multi-million-dollar houses. It's the most fucked up thing.
The next evening, he follows Stomper into an abandoned building as a drug deal is about to be made. This was just an innumerous amount of rats.
So many fucking rats, and none of them ran when he walked in.
No, like they didn't give a shit. Like Stephen King's Graveyard Shift amount of rats.
Yeah.
They didn't give a fuck.
No, man, he's just walking right through them.
And
they're
weren't
like, "Hey, buddy."
white lab rats. These were brown
Sewer rats.
sewer rats.
Yep.
Ugh, this was gross.
It was so incredibly gross. And I'm like, I understand you probably put food down so that the rats stay there as
Yeah.
he's walking through them. But I'm like, some of them should have scattered.
Yeah, not
Some
one.
of them. Nope, none of them scattered.
I think
I'll
I
just
saw
turn it
one give Charles Bronson the finger. And not one actor screamed like a schoolgirl. I would have.
Of course you would have.
And how did that rat get on top of that lampshade?
Don't ask questions.
Multiple times. Because between cuts, it was there, it wasn't there, it was there. This was some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Splinter rat. I could not have done this scene. Nope.
I would not have wanted to.
Breaking into the business or not. And we get the do you believe in Jesus? Well, you're going to meet him, because Paul shoots a dealer and orders the others out before killing Stomper. The following night, he hears screams from a couple being assaulted in a parking garage by 4 muggers, which includes Jiver. Paul kills 2 rapists and wounds Jiver. Paul then follows Jiver's blood trail into the abandoned warehouse and kills him. Yeah, I guess criminals in the 80s, they just like their rape. I don't know.
There's a lot of rape.
Say this.
Like we don't need that shit. We already know it runs rampant and it's super common. And
Yeah,
it's
just
really
some
fucking annoying. Like you don't
violent
have to-
assault. You didn't have to keep going
Yeah.
there.
It's a lot. And also like keep tearing open people's shirts and it's just
I love seeing boobies in movies. I do
Yeah.
not like seeing boobies this way. It
No,
feels gross. I don't. It's like it's a waste of a booby shot. I
it's
feel
yeah.
icky.
God damn it! It's
I
always
don't want to
terrible
see
when
your
the boobies
boobies
make you
that
feel
way.
icky.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was I was not like I get it. Ooh, they're terrible people and this is the
Yeah.
worst crime. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. You don't have to use it as your only proof that these people are terrible. Like there are a million other things that they could do to be terrible. You don't have to go
Yeah.
around raping every woman who shows up on screen.
I do like how he doesn't even tell the bad guys why he's doing it, or if he doesn't ask them if they remember him or
Yeah.
if they remember
He
killing
just
his
starts
daughter.
shooting.
No, just straight to the point. No
He's like, no.
clutter of context for these guys. No, sir. Goodbye. These jive turkeys. The LAPD suspect that the murderers are the work of a vigilante and ask the NYPD for guidance. NYPD Detective Frank Oka, well, that's the guy from the first movie, suspects it may be Paul again and is sent to assist with the case. Oka understands that Paul, when caught, will reveal that he was released without being charged for killing the 10 muggers in New York City. This was a stretch.
Yeah. They're
It
like,
would
oh,
have
it'll
been,
follow us right back here.
yeah.
No, it wouldn't have.
It would have been Paul Kersey, a lunatic, his word against the lead detective, the mayor, and a prosecutor. They're like, he'll bring us all down and you'll lose your pension. And Oka's like, I get that next year. I better go to LA and see what's going on. Oka enters, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Oka or Ocha? Oka?
I think they said Ocha.
Ocha. Enters Jerry's apartment. Jerry is Jill Ireland's character and Paul Kersey's love interest.
Yeah.
And up until now, she's been like, let's have dinner. Let's go to the movies. And Paul Kersey's like, I'm busy, baby. I'm cleaning the streets. So Ocha tells her about Paul's previous vigilante killing spree in New York. After Paul returns to his house, Jerry confronts him, but he denies everything. Like, what's he gonna say?
He did the really great, like, well, they asked me.
Yeah.
And she was like, did you? What? And you did it? And he was like, well, I just said they asked me.
Yeah. Would have been better.
I didn't say I did it.
Yep, I did it. I killed them all. Ocha follows Paul, who is tailing the 3 remaining gang members. He follows them to an abandoned park where an arms and drug deal is underway, and a sniper scouts Paul and attempts to kill him. Ocha warns Paul and fatally shoots the sniper. Ocha is mortally wounded by Nirvana, and Paul wounds Punk Cut, I'm not making this up, and kills Cutter and another dealer. The arms dealer tries to get away, but Paul shoots and causes his car to drive off a cliff and explode. I miss those cars rolling off a hill and just fucking exploding for no reason.
When I watched that explosion, I was like, the explosion's cool, but the car was not going fast enough to go flying off that cliff like that.
Nope, not at all.
Not even a little bit.
Plus, he follows them, gets on the bus with them. Ocha tails him in the cab, and they use those little, what are those little binoculars called? You were talking about earlier that he uses
opera binoculars because they're
Yeah.
teeny tiny.
Yeah.
It's like, sir, he's following in the cab, and the cab driver's like, pay me. And he's like, I'm the police.
Yeah, I'm the police. Don't worry, buddy.
And the guy's like, no, I'm not a city worker. You pay
So he
me.
pays
And
him
also,
half.
when Ocha is spying on Paul, I noticed in one of the scenes, and I was like, well, this is ironic. Do you remember the Guardian Angels?
Yep.
Okay. There's a group of them walking through a scene.
Oh, are there?
Yeah. I was like, those are Guardian Angels. Like they're wearing the little red berets, the white
didn't
t-shirt
notice
with
them.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, how ironic. A group of people who's supposed to be making the neighborhood safer.
Yeah.
And he's just waiting to go out and start killing people's. By the way, I think they're still like
They are
operational.
still active. Yeah, they are. I remember seeing something not too long ago about them.
Interesting. But yeah, that was also one of the scenes. And I just think it's really funny that happens. And then Paul Kersey follows a bunch of drug dealers. And then Ocha follows him in a cab.
And then after Ocha shoots the sniper, the bad guys like unleash with handguns and shotguns and machine guns.
Yes.
And then there's Paul Kersey with the handgun, like pew pew.
And he gets his shots in.
Yeah. Yeah, they unleash hundreds of bullets at a time, and he's like, pew pew.
Pew pew. Although I will say this for Ocha, I didn't want him to die. I didn't want him to get hurt.
No, I
And he
still like the
does.
character.
He warns Paul Kersey about the sniper and that he's about to get spotted, and I was like, that was real nice of you.
Yeah,
I'm mad. I'm mad that he died. I wanted him to live through this and retire happily.
yeah, get his pension.
Yeah.
How out of place was that middle-aged, overweight white pimp?
So out of place, and that
Did
was
not look like a gun smuggling pimp at all.
also, wasn't he wearing like a super shiny shirt?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I was like,
looked
"Is
like
that
your grandpa
satin?"
going on a Halloween party. Funny, yes. Scary, no.
Yeah, I was not worried for my safety with him around.
No. Nirvana escapes. Ocha tells Paul to avenge him and dies. Paul escapes, and Punk Cut dies from his injuries after giving information about Nirvana to the police. Yeah, because Kersey is like, it's you. I'll be damned. You stuck your neck out for me. And he was like, it's either them or you. So avenge me. I'd be like, no, we hardly know each other. And
We're
I kind
not
of do.
besties.
Yeah, I'm doing this for my daughter. You know what? You're dying. Sure. I'll avenge you.
Sure, I'll be nice.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Paul learns that one of Jerry's colleagues at that the police are preparing a tactical unit to capture Nirvana. He obtains a police scanner and, by monitoring police radio traffic, finds out when and where the arrest is going to take place. He drives to the location to kill Nirvana, who, under the influence of PCP, slashes his arm and stabs officers while trying to escape. He kicks the shit out of a bunch of officers.
He literally flips them over him, over his shoulder. He's like, boink, gone.
Tried and found criminally insane in record time, mind you, he is sent to a mental institution. Jerry is writing a story about the case and capital punishment and takes Paul to the hospital to meet the doctor treating Nirvana. While there, Paul steals another doctor's coat and identification card and uses it to enter the asylum and confront Nirvana. After repeatedly stabbing Paul with a shiv, Nirvana ends up plunging his arm into a high voltage panel. Paul turns on, fatally electrocuting him. I liked this scene. And again, the good old days, to become a doctor and sneak into a hospital or a mental asylum, just had to swipe a badge and buy some whiteout.
But also, true story, but also we skipped an incredibly important part here. The lunch at the Japanese restaurant with the Dom Perignon, where Paul Kersey, in an over-the-top romantic overture, looks at Jerry and says, "Want to marry me?"
Yeah.
Hey, and she's like, "Really? Really?" And he's like,
they're going to go down to Mexico.
They're going to go to Acapulco. Immediately. They're just going to run off and get married. And I literally wrote, what the fuck kind of proposal is that? Because she gets up off of her chair, goes over to the man doesn't even stand up.
No,
he doesn't
Charles
lean
Bronson.
over. He's sitting there and he's like, ooh, and she like hugs him and he's like, careful. This champagne costs like $200 a drop. Or $300. You just lost $900. You just spilled $900 of champagne, 3 drops. And I was like, what the fuck?
Then he smacks her. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't. But she's like, this is wonderful. And I was like, you said yes to that? Also, the man's been ignoring you for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
You're like, the answer to that is let's get married.
Yep.
I was like, that's some bullshit. Anyway, so then after that, he goes to the hospital.
Yeah.
And he faked his own like thing. And of course, while he was working on the ID, he crumpled up a mistake and tossed it towards his garbage can that had the 2 ducks on it. But missed it. So it was on the floor. Important. Eventually, he has the fight, electrocutes the guy. I don't know why you would take a patient into a room that has a scalpel sitting out unsecured. And
I think he grabbed that from his sock, tucked into his sock.
Oh, I missed that. That was probably because I was rolling my eyes.
Yeah.
The fight itself was good.
Yeah, I like how they didn't make it easy for it because it looked like he was going to lose.
Yeah, no, he was especially because the guy was Nirvana was Stabby McStabberson. Like he was just going at it. Like he was
Yeah, he
just
stabs him
swinging.
a lot.
And I was like, honestly, that makes more sense because nobody just like stabs and then like waits.
Yeah.
You keep going until the person you're stabbing stops. Not that I know from personal experience, I have never stabbed anyone to death, FYI. But I think that's a solid plan of attack. If you're going to stab someone to death, please don't stab anyone to death.
No.
That's me trying to avoid a lawsuit.
Yes, because by luck, Nirvana punches that electrical thing and then Kersey turns it on. At least it didn't have that 80s blue lightning that they used for electricity.
Thank God
I don't
for
think
that.
that wasn't invented yet. Yeah, thank God. Donald Kay, an orderly, recognizes Paul from the newspaper coverage of Carol's murder and gives him 3 minutes to escape before he rings the alarm. Didn't seem like 3 minutes, but
it wasn't.
No. But Jerry goes to Paul's house and finds out that he made a fake doctor's ID. Upon hearing news of Nirvana's death on the radio, she realized that Paul really is the vigilante that Ocha claimed him to be. She takes off her engagement ring and leaves Paul, who arrives home moments later. Months later, Paul attends a presentation of his building design for the radio station. The owner invites him to a launch party, but questions why Paul always seems to be unavailable in the evenings and never takes any phone calls. When Paul accepts the invitation, he answers, "What else would I be doing?" Paul returns to the streets at night and continues his killing spree. And that is our movie. Yay.
Woo.
And what is your score for Death Wish 2?
Okay. A tentative stream it. And here's why. I do think the violence against Rosaria and Carol is unnecessary in the method that they presented it to us. I think that's unnecessary. I understand something traumatic had to happen in order for Paul's vigilantism to be activated. I get that. I hate that rape is this film franchise's seemingly default choice of violence. I think they did Carol wrong in this movie, and I think it grated on me. The actual vigilantism, like that whole part of the movie, yes, there is a touch of ridiculousness to it. I like that in my action movies. I like when my action movies are a little bit ridiculous. And I like when, physics are kind of ignored. And I like when, science is not that serious. And I like that. But I'm sorry, Charles Bronson. I need a fucking facial expression. I need you to furrow your brows, squint your eyes, frown, something. Because he was just so stoic through the entire thing. I'm like, I'm not getting that you're traumatized. I'm not getting that this is like a PTSD reaction. All I'm getting is that you're like, cool. I'm out of milk. I should go kill some people. And that kind of takes away some of the joy. This sounds so weird. Some of the joy of the vigilantism. Like I want to cheer for you to kill the bad guys. And you're not giving me that joy. I don't want to cheer you on because I'm like, I think there's something seriously wrong with you, Mr. Kersey. What is this? So while the movie itself and the action itself and the vigilantism, like the actual action of it, is very entertaining, a little ridiculous, and just kind of silly. I enjoyed that part. The trauma that activates it, I did not enjoy. And Charles Bronson's face, I did not enjoy. So that's why I say a tentative stream it. However, if you are not okay with sexual violence and if it triggers you, you need to just ignore at least the first 2 Death Wish movies. I don't know about Death Wish 3, but definitely the first 2. And I can understand why this movie is considered kind of classic, but I can also understand why a lot of people wouldn't want to watch it. This was not I much prefer Death Wish, the first one. This one was okay. It wasn't my favorite. So tentative stream it. I would not pay money for this. What are your thoughts?
All right. Actually, we're kind of on the same. I wrote, but it's you kind of said everything that I kind of have here. Like, I didn't hate this movie. It just appeared to be a rehash of a far superior movie, like in every sense. I just kept wondering, why was I watching part 2? I could be watching part 1. Yeah, pretty much everything that you just said. That the rape thing was a little much. It was used more than once. And I did like a lot of the killing stuff. It was silly, but it wasn't as good. I think it tried too hard to be the same yet different, and it failed. It just completely failed. I wouldn't pay money for this. I wouldn't say skip it. I stream it again, like you said. There is a warning if you're triggered by any of that stuff. Yeah, this one's much more than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if there's any of that in the third. I don't think so. The third just goes off the rails with the killing and the violence, and which is fun. I'm sure we'll watch, maybe next summer we'll watch part 3. Yeah, I say stream it. I stream it. But I'm kind of conflicted. Like, I have to watch 3 and 4 again to see if I would ever do a Death Wish marathon. But I don't even know. I could probably see myself being fine skipping this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was okay.
It feels like it feels like Death Wish is the original, and this just feels like a photocopy of a copy. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's close enough,
Yeah.
but it's not quite
It's-
right.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of little pieces in the beginning of the movie that make the second half of the movie kind of not as fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, if I had gotten a rage reaction from Charles Bronson, or if they had done, maybe a different trauma to activate his vigilantism. Like, I understand that, you know what, beat Rosaria. Sure. Like, I get that. Kill her. I get that.
Yeah.
I don't think you need the sexual violence again.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to the daughter could have just not been there at all.
No.
She didn't need to be in this movie at all.
No.
And I think it would have been more than enough for this housekeeper that he loves. And maybe you throw in some dialogue about how she's like a daughter to him.
Yeah.
Her death would have been enough to spawn the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's a love-hate thing, because I think the action of the killing and the hunting down these guys and these gang members is good, but it's not great.
Yeah.
And it definitely doesn't feel great, because the first bit of the movie, you're kind of like, oh, again?
Yeah.
Also, Carol died real, not nice.
No, not at all.
I was like, how
Not
are you
at
going
all.
to do her like that? Like, that is just going to leave her on a fence? So yeah, it was I have a love-hate for this movie. Actually, no, let me rephrase. I have a meh-hate with this
Yeah.
movie. Like, I'm like, you didn't have to do that. The rest of it's okay, but it's not super great. But yeah, this is definitely my Tokyo Drift, where I just pretend it doesn't belong in the series at all.
Yeah. Death Wish was it explored both sides of the debate, but most of all, I had fun watching Death Wish. Like, it
God,
was
yeah.
like ludicrous and silly, but it was fun to watch. It was okay. And that's
With the first Death Wish, you saw Kersey's frustration. You
yeah.
saw his anger. You saw how he felt impotent and he couldn't do anything. You have none of that.
No,
Because you
it's
understand
all
why he
missing.
becomes a vigilante. In this one, it was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just gonna start killing people.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was odd.
Yeah, so we have to stream it almost reluctantly to stream
Yeah.
it.
Reluctant
Not a
stream
complete
it,
skip it, but yeah, if you don't
but it's
watch it,
okay
you're
if
not
you
missing
skip
a
it.
lot.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Wow. Okay, so that was Death Wish 2. We have 2 reluctant stream it's.
Yeah. Death Wish
Not-
2, you disappointed us.
Yeah, it wasn't that great of a movie. Nowhere near Death Wish 1. Death Wish 1 was fun.
Death
It was a
Wish 1
fun movie.
made sense.
And it made sense.
It made sense. Like, you felt his frustration and his anger and his, like, the love that he felt for his daughter and his wife who were, like, brutalized. You're like, yes, this man is on a mission. This one, it was like he was just waiting for someone to say go.
Yeah. And he let people go in this movie. And in Death Wish 1, he just killed everybody.
He's like,
Didn't
oh, you're
matter.
committing a crime?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to kill you.
Because does he ever get everybody from the very beginning? I don't think he does.
He does. He
He
gets
gets
everybody.
all of them? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Nirvana was the last one.
Oh, no, I meant Death Wish 1.
Oh, Death Wish 1? I don't know if he kills everybody. I think he does, but in between, he kills
he's just
muggers
going
and
out,
whatever.
yeah.
He's just anybody who's committing a crime in between him getting to the people that he actually is targeting.
Yeah. It looked better. It sounded better. The characters were better. The acting was better. Yeah, everything was just better. It's too bad. You don't expect it to be just as good, but this was a definite drop off.
I knew it was going to be along the same lines, and I knew it was going to be very similar. That's cool. And I will always say this, The Fast and the Furious is essentially the exact same movie with like small details changed.
Yeah.
We know what's going to happen in every movie. Nothing is a fucking surprise. Death Wish, I was expecting the same thing. I'm like, yes, something terrible happens to someone that he cares for. It activates the vigilante. He goes out and he kills people. They come close to catching him. He has to like stop or disappear. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm down for all of that. This movie, I was like, it feels like a cheap copy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, next week we are watching Stand By Me and Do the Right Thing. Our second to last drive-in for the summer.
Oh, it's coming to an end.
It's coming to an end. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for these two movies.
We're sorry we made you watch at least one of them. The other one, no, actually, I'm sorry we made you watch both of these.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for DC Cap.
No, I'm not sorry for DC Cap. Yeah. I strangely liked it. All right. Well, again, thanks again. And until the next movie we remember liking.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.